Previously on the 50% Doctor Who podcast.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
bring on our lovely guest this week, ladies and gents. It's Crispy Pro. How do you maintain being like the nicest Doctor Who person in the Doctor Who community?
Alright, that's very nice.
Josh Snares, everybody. Let's welcome Josh Snares to the show.
Aiden said on the Crispy Pro episode that Crispy is the nicest YouTuber ever.
Don't get this shit going.
I was attacked, victimized, assaulted, offended.
Connor, today to introduce our guests,
Yes.
because I do not want to start any beef between them, what I'm going to do is flip a coin to figure out who I'm going to invite in first, because I don't want beef. And whenever I talk about these two lovely people,
you start the
all
beef,
I get is beef.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe you got to blame yourself a little bit for that. You know, you have said some things in the past that's been a little bit edgy.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right. Okay, I'm just saying. You know, maybe you dug yourself that hole.
If it's heads, I'm gonna invite in the C guest first.
Okay.
If it is tails, I will invite the J guest in first.
Okay.
Sound good? Hey Google, flip a coin, please. That's actually how I talk to Google all the time.
I didn't know you could do this.
You got heads.
Okay, problem. Who did I say was heads?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna say.
Oh my god.
Let's bring in Josh first.
Great.
It's everyone's favorite Josh Snares.
Wow.
Let's just hope that was the
Wow,
one.
this is going really well, guys.
That's
Yay,
good.
I'm here. Hello.
Thanks
Back
for joining
once
us
again. Not in person, but
No.
still good. Still good
Still
enough.
present. I'm still
know.
here.
Are you
In spirit.
alive?
Is this the
Still
allegedly.
fourth time, third time?
It's
I think
really
four,
open to debate.
4 times. That's insane.
Yeah,
Four times.
this is my fourth or fifth.
Is
That is
four?
insane. Like,
Wow.
This is literally crazy.
Well,
like,
let's-
look at us go.
Let's
you know?
bring in guest number 2, the C guest. That would be
C-list.
I almost said everyone's favorite just because that's my go-to thing. This is
wow.
what I'm saying. I start beef
Can't help
again.
himself.
Wow.
It's
Can't
Crispy
help
Pro.
himself. Oh god, there's just drama already.
There we go.
Wow. The nicest YouTuber has arrived.
Wow, we see how it is.
Wowee.
We love
Hi,
you both.
everyone.
That's the problem.
Yeah, he's in the building, the nicest YouTuber, according to Aiden. You know, just continues
Everyone's
to spread
favorite
that beef.
Australian Doctor Who YouTuber.
Is that a direct quote, Josh? There?
That's a direct quote.
Wow.
I'm just
Maybe.
going to leave. I feel like I've just ruined this already. And
It's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying. This is supposed to be an amazing, beautiful moment, the most ambitious crossover event in YouTube history.
this is
and
the
you're already
end game of
starting-
Doctor Who.
Yeah, you're already starting a little bit of beef. So you know, you
That's what I'm
gotta.
here for.
Yeah, you know.
Well,
That's
we have
fine.
these...
Before Endgame, there was Civil War, so that's all I'm saying.
That's
all
true.
I'm
So
saying.
Endgame's still to
Exactly.
come. What's Endgame then? Is it like George Sheard?
Yeah,
like
this
just
is-
everyone together.
Let's sort out our phases first. You know, of doing our whole universe. This is the start of something huge.
Huge.
All of us together. Look at that. This is like a Doctor crossover. You know.
Well, the biggest thing is we're all Aussies, so we've all suffered in pain for many
Okay.
reasons as a Doctor Who fan, watching it in 144p or whatever, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, today's show, we have these two lovely roosters on, which is amazing, to talk about mainly Twice Upon a Time, right? I think that's a good one to have you on, Josh, as a William Hartnell lover, and we all know that William Hartnell does not exist anymore and has been replaced by David Bradley in the BBC archives.
She's dead. The BBC have said it. She's dead. They don't care about her, and we know how it is. It's like, whatever, fine. We'll go into that a bit later.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear that take.
Spicy.
Very keen for that take.
And we're also going to have a bit of a chat about Might of the Daleks and some of the stuff that Crispy's been up to.
Oh,
So
yeah.
That's all to come on this fantastic, action-packed episode.
Crossover
of
event.
50%.
History.
Hey!
50 percent
50%
podcast.
The more words I add into that introduction is literally always me trying to find the soundbite. So I just keep saying the best, the greatest, whilst I just
Right, as you
quickly
try and find the
Yeah.
yeah. There's always a lot going on behind the scenes, you know.
pain.
Hey, you've done good so far. You know,
We're trying.
I think you've done a good job.
We're trying.
Very well. You have a lot of sound bites now. You've got a lot of various sections being brought back, all of Australia's favourite sections. So it's good.
We have.
And more to come, actually. I was sending Aiden today some beautiful sound bites that he was
that's very funny, actually.
very excited to
It's a bit
hear.
naughty. It's a bit
Yeah,
naughty.
I've been told I can only do 3 sound bites per fucking pod.
When we
so-
get, we were talking before we started recording that we're going to get a roadcaster soon, so we'll sound much better than we usually do,
make
and
stuff like this easier.
that way
well,
you can have like
I
100
assume.
sound bites on and things like that.
Yeah, it'll just make our life easier. But yeah. Though, thank you so much again for joining. You know,
Thank you.
you guys are like the best Doctor Who YouTubers in my opinion. So
Incredible.
to
Yeah, but which
have
one's
us all
better?
together-
Yeah, hang on. Let's
Equal.
just
Which
sort this
one's
out.
better?
Let's
There's
just sort this out right now.
no one has to be better than the other. Okay.
I love all my children equally. you
Yeah,
know.
Josh and I just like
That's
little
right.
children wanting approval from their parents.
I don't like to play this game of who's better. You know, I just, you know, it's all love from me. You know,
All love, no hate.
this is a lot of hate. This is a lot of love. You know, that's just how it
Alright,
works over here.
You're safe.
You know. But yeah,
How-
thank you so much for joining. It really means a lot to us, and this is
It
gonna be a
does.
great show, everybody. It's gonna be a great
A
show.
great, fantastic show. What have you guys been up to lately? Let's start, Josh. Anything crazy that just popped up on YouTube in the last
anything
like
at all?
2 weeks? I don't know.
Maybe nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, so Might of the Daleks came out. For people who don't know, it was this short Dalek film that me and my mate Aaron Vanderclay made. So it's like a 1960s black and white Dalek film. Lots of death and destruction and really cool 60s Dalek-y stuff. It's kind of been like in development for a very long time, so we're so happy that it's finally out there and people are really liking it, which is really, really great. Because we didn't know what people were going to think, and I'm very happy that people are liking it. So very, very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I watched it late on a Friday night, and it was like perfect viewing after like, I think I'd been to the pub as well, so it was just extra
Nice.
better. Everything becomes amazing when you've had.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's bad words of an alcoholic right
Yeah,
there.
as per
Sober
from
today.
the pub. Yeah, the sober show. Sober show.
Are we not
Josh,
having a drink today? No worries.
you can if you
I
have.
don't have any here. It's fine.
Where's the Bundy, Crispy? You always got a
No,
Bundy.
I'm out of
rock.
Bundy. I'm out of
Oh
Bundy.
god, no.
Hey.
That's a sad world when Crispy's out of a Bundy.
Something that was surprising for me because I watched your behind the scenes video today, Josh, and as someone who's not
The
seen the
Confidential.
Daleks, Doctor Who Confidential, as someone who's not seen the Daleks master plan, I watched it and I was just like, oh, this is a great one-off story. I completely understood it and it works
Yeah.
amazingly as an individual thing for me. And then in your behind the scenes video, you were saying how much it connects to the actual master plan
Nice.
story. Can you give us a bit of the
Nice.
context of the environment?
Yeah, I'm actually really happy that you guys said that, because I was really worried when we were making it. I'm like, is this going to make sense to anyone who hasn't seen an episode of Doctor Who before? And I very much like asked the cast who are in it, because they're not Doctor Who fans. I was like, does this make sense to you? And they helped me rewrite it slightly and change a few lines to make it more palatable to a non-fan.
Awesome.
So I'm happy that you guys understood it. But yeah, the wider story is that this is set after Mission to the Unknown. So, you know, the Daleks are setting up this master plan, and they're going to use this device to age planets to dust, essentially. So the Daleks' master plan is about getting the Terranium core and putting it and shoving it right into this time destructor. And it takes them 12 bloody episodes to do it, but they do it.
Wowee.
And, you know, I
Get
don't
there
want to
in the
spoil
end.
anything. But yeah, end of the world, very much what you saw in Might of the Daleks. Might of the Daleks was like a fraction of what this device is capable of. And it's just to
Amazing.
build up momentum for Daleks Master Plan. But, you know, I'm happy that it does work on its own. So that's great.
It's insanely good. It's
Yeah.
How long was it? 12 minutes?
Yeah, it's only at 12 minutes, yeah.
Oh, it was thrilling and so well shot, like insanely
Yes.
well. And the acting, like I watched in your behind the scenes, as you said, you casted filmmakers first, and then no, you're not Doctor Who fans.
Yeah.
And my goodness, like that really, like it's so professional. It's so well done.
Thank you.
So all the
It
praise
is.
to you.
It's
Like that's an
insane.
insane
It's
fan
like-
project.
It
Yeah,
is.
we had an incredible crew,
next level.
incredible cast. So happy with everyone
Yeah.
who was involved. Was so lucky.
The ending was even like moving, like in a kind of like oh shit kind of way, you know? Like it just worked in like every way possible.
Yeah, Amy, who played the president, like that final confrontation with the Dalek, she really nailed it. She got it, and she took it 100% seriously. And I think, you know, when she's like, I'd rather die under their missile, like she sells that
Yes.
line, you really believe it. And it added so much more emotional weight than I I was really hoping it would sell it for the script, but she really brought it to life and sold it. So yeah, very, very happy.
Yeah, and I think the score really helped those emotions as well.
Oh my gosh,
didn't take
so
note
good.
who the
Barnabas is an incredible composer. Like I've
Amazing.
worked with them in the past as well, and I'm just so happy I got to work with them again because it's so good. They totally get the vibe that they have that good balance of like referencing music that we know from the show, but then also adding their own spin on it, and it's really great. So
Yeah, there's this great
liked
like
it.
feeling of dread throughout the whole
The
thing.
entire time. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good tone there, Josh. You really nailed it.
Thank you.
And so we're really happy to say, Josh, that the 50% Boys and I would like to commission 12 more episodes from you.
yeah.
So
Thank you.
We're putting the funding together
put it
and
out.
we'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll start it. Daleks Master Plan. Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Man, it's actually like incredible. Like, I'm not just saying that, it really is. And I think it's also really inspirational as well for
Oh, definitely.
people who may want to do that, you know. And it's like, especially, I'm not trying to shit on like Doomsday too much, but it's like you see that they put that out, and it's like, and then you see what a fan put out, and you kind of have to sit back for a second and go like whoa,
Yeah.
like it kind of normally would be the other way around, you know. It's
Yep.
like, it's insane. Like, it's just, I don't know, I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm just pretty speechless, to be honest. It just was incredible. Like, so good.
And that's rare for Connor.
So good. Yeah, kinda. I'd say kinda. You know, I love to support my friends, but damn, like,
Yeah.
it was just, yeah, it was incredible.
So you being in Adelaide, Josh, and then the actual production taking place in Perth,
Sunny old
Yeah.
Perth.
would that have been probably the biggest challenge of the production, or was there like what was the biggest challenge for you?
That I would say that's probably one of the hardest bits was going to Perth because I was like going to a place where I hadn't been since I was like a kid.
Yeah.
And I was meeting people I hadn't really met in real life, including this horrible guy called Connor. Yeah, he was just so not known. I love you, Connor. You know that.
It's so
And
kind.
Thank you.
no, I was seeing you there was one of the highlights of the whole thing. So
Oh,
I
it
very,
was
very
it was
happy.
so lovely, and it was like incredibly brief, but like just
Yeah.
great. And you know, we drove kind of all around Perth City,
Cute.
and it was great. At dropping you off to your hotel, we had some really good chats. It got very
Yeah.
deep. It got very deep, but it was nice. You know, it was just a really good fun time, and I did get to pop my head into the set. I know I've been memeing about it on Twitter, but I actually did get to pop my head into the set, and I did see the Dalek in person, and I was incredibly impressed, and also really curious to see how what I saw would then get, you know, made into this short film, and
Yeah.
how it would all come together. And but I didn't say on the show that I went, because I was saying this before, I was terrified that I was going to say something too soon, and I did think that it was going to come out a little bit later, the short. But yeah, I was just kind of terrified that I was going to say
You were worried
something.
you were going to say something,
that-
and then you wake up at night with Nissa with a gun.
just with
to
a
your
gun.
head.
I was like, I'm so sorry. I mean, I wanted to flex and just say how proud I am of you, Josh, but I was just worried, so I didn't say anything. But yeah, I did get to see the Dalek in person. I know I said it a lot on Twitter, but my God, it was just incredible. I feel like I'm just saying incredible a lot, but I was just speechless.
Rightfully
I've just
so.
told my parents 1,000 times that I'm like, this Dalek was like, it was the real deal. It
was a real Dalek.
It was the real deal.
It was an actual Dalek.
I've seen Daleks, like fan-made Daleks, and they've looked really good. But this was like next level. This was
Yeah.
like next level good.
Yeah.
Incredible. But yeah, so, and thank you for taking me on the set. I did feel very privileged. I was like, oh, guys.
Well, I gotta say, commitment to the bit, Josh. Not only did you schedule coming to Perth around me being out of the country, but you scheduled an entire film shoot, just like
Yeah, because
all
like
around that.
Because I was like literally thinking, I'm like, I really should have got you involved with that, Aiden, because obviously you do
that
stuff like
filmmaker.
this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're legit, but it was just
not
like
what I
the
meant.
worst timing.
No,
No, but
Just
like
funny
legit, that was
just
actually a
flew
thing though, because I was
Yeah.
like, well, I'd like to get Aiden involved, but I knew you weren't going to be around. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the thought.
But yeah, if I do another one, I will put your name down.
Well, it was,
I'll be there.
it was crazy as well, because
Yeah.
so you were only in Perth from Monday to Friday. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was
Isn't that
like
insane?
flying out.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? Yeah, because we were going to try and plan to meet up like maybe one more time
Yeah.
You were just like, I can't. I'm sorry. I was like, no,
I
I'm
mean,
good.
it was literally,
I'm sure you're
like,
busy. Like,
I didn't
Yeah.
stop.
yeah, no, I bet
It's
that
like
is
even when I
insane.
saw you, like I was up for like 12 hours straight. Like I
You were
was
so
longer than that.
delirious in that
I was so
episode.
delirious. I listened back to some of it. And I was like, what the fuck am I talking about? Like
It was a bit of a lucid dream, that episode. It was a bit of a lucid dream,
Yeah.
okay?
yeah.
It was pretty fucking nuts.
When Connor brought out the Coke for you, I was like, that's a genuine reaction of love.
Genuine.
Yeah.
That was
That was a
amazing.
genuine yippee. Like,
It's
in my
legit
bag
by
for
itself.
like 3 hours, just sat there, and I'm like, oh shit, I almost forgot. Here you go. Iconic moment in the show.
One last quick question for you, Josh, before we get Crispy a bit more involved. Because I noticed there was no
Sorry, Crispy.
editing credit. Did you edit it yourself? Is that the vibe?
yeah, I did
Yeah.
edit it. I specifically chose like in the credits to mimic the 60s, and a lot of people just didn't
Yeah.
get credited. So I just put everyone who
sick.
worked on it got credited. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to write written by Josh Snares, edited by Josh
That's the
Snares,
worst.
directed by. Just give me one credit and I'm done. I don't
Yeah.
need that. I don't. I hate when I see it. Just feels amateur.
Yeah.
I just rather people not know.
Yeah.
But
agree.
yeah, I did.
I watched a short film a few months ago, and one person, it must have been like a 3-man crew, because this
Yeah.
one bloke like directed, produced, edited, and did like everything, and this
Yeah.
one like minute long intro of just like shots of environments with his name over each shot, and I was I see what's going on here.
Painful. It's painful.
What was that process like for you though, Josh, editing? Did you sort of bounce it around a little bit, and or were you sort
Yeah.
of pretty fixed on how you wanted it to look?
It had 4 official drafts.
Yep.
And then the final edit. I did a really, really rough cut the day I got home, and I was in front of my computer for like I don't know, the whole from like 9 in the morning until like 12 at night, just doing
Yeah.
a rough cut. And it was rough, but it was at least like a progression of like, this is how it's going to kind of feel. But by the time I hit the 3rd draft, it was pretty much what it looks like now, just more sound design and getting it a bit tighter and music and stuff like that. But and effect shots, like we did a lot of painting out stuff that you don't see, of just light stands and stuff like that, because it was a really tight space we were filming in. But yeah.
Did you put like a fake grade on from the start, so you sort of knew what you were working with, like the 4x3?
Yeah, we shot it. It was 4x3. Originally, we were going to do it 60x9 safe, just in case I wanted to do another edit. But very early on, we were like, this space is too small. I just want to shoot 4x3. I want to make it look good. I don't care about alternate edits. So we pretty much did 4x3. We had it black and white the whole time. We lit it for black and white. You don't want to see it in color. It looks horrible, because in color everyone's just like overblown with light, because like in black and white it looks beautiful and it's dark and shadowy, but as soon as you put color in it, it's like a technicolor vomit. But yeah,
it's crazy how different those lighting styles are. I know, you know, Better Call Saul. They in their final season, they have so many black and white sequences, and they took like all the filmmakers onto like a bit of a crash course to teach them how to shoot black and white, because it's so different, and because no one really practices it these days. So yeah, huge.
Yeah, well, we'll link it down below, and I'm sure everyone's already seen it. But if you want to see it because you haven't seen it, or you want to watch it again, just go and link down below.
Have a look
and check it out. And you know, it's great to support independent creators as well, which I think is what's so great about Josh as well. It's all like independent, free on YouTube. I love that kind of thing. You know, I love my independent people. You know, so
and you are an independent man yourself.
Yeah,
Connor.
this is an independent show. So yeah, you know, go support your creators and
linked down below.
In the
Speaking of down below, this is not a
Down
good
under.
segue.
Down under, that's where we're all from. And that is where we are right now.
Crispy Pro.
Crispy!
Hi, how you doing?
Crispy back
I'm
at it
alright. I have
again.
nothing nearly as cool to tell you than like Might of the Darks. I've got nothing. I got nothing.
Crispy, don't do that.
No,
Crispy, you are the legend. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I think, Crispy, your stuff has come a long way. Literally, like you've always made great stuff, but the last like year or two, you've gone for like kind of larger scale. I want to kind of use the word documentary here and there, sort of a bit of video essay style stuff.
Kind of like I have a friend that has a really nice camera and a studio, and so I was like, thank you very much. So
good friend to have,
that's
you
just
know.
kind of what's been going on, you know.
No, cool.
That's it.
How have you gone? Because I saw you got to speak with Jamie Magnus Stone and a few other kind of cool guests that you've had popping up recently. How's that all come about?
Twitter and various other means.
Yep.
No, I've been very, very privileged with who I've been able to talk to. Well, I've always wanted to do like video essay series, because back in the day when like, what was it? This one came out, what is they called? Lonely Assassins.
Oh yeah.
That game. I was like really had a good working relationship with Maze Theory, and I was able to talk to the actor that played Larry Nightingale. What's his name? Finlay.
Awesome.
And and we filmed like a skit and an interview for that, and we made like a little video essay there. And I was like, I really want to do more of this. And then I met this friend, Maddie King, who has this beautiful studio and the nice camera, and he's like a massive Doctor Who fan. He's like, let's make some content. And so I've just been around there a few times making some cool little videos, and then trying to get in contact with Doctor Who people. They don't always respond, but when they do, it's very nice. It's very, very nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It's been cool. Adam Richard had a cameo in your latest video, the Whovians video.
Yes.
A good one to have all Aussies on for this podcast.
I know.
And I was listening to the latest Who's There with Adam Richard on as well today, and that was good fun.
Yeah, it
Real
was.
good
I mean,
fun.
Adam's an absolute legend, and yeah, I've known him for a little bit, and I was like they're gonna have some good stuff to say about the Disney Plus deal on ABC, and the tea was definitely spilled. Absolutely, I was not expecting that. I was shocked. Like I uploaded the original interview that we did for my video essay to my Patreon, and even that was edited down because of all the stuff he was saying. He was like, don't leave that in. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. But no, like absolute privilege. And yeah, that was a really, really fun episode to have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been good. It's been real good.
Yeah.
Aussie,
Did you
Aussie.
stay in contact with him after Whovians? Is that sort of what happened there?
Kind of. I mean, we weren't like texting every other day. But
Besties?
now we're besties. He actually just texted me then. So there you go. There you go. Because I don't know if I can say this and out myself. He's lending me a virtual DVD of Classic Who because it's been taken off BritBox.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
He's now my source. I don't know if I can say that, but
Yeah, it did get taken off. Didn't it get taken off yesterday or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle of like watching Classic Who for the first time. Josh, you'll be proud of me, hopefully.
Well done. Yeah, what are you up
thank
to?
you. I'm doing one like episode from each Doctor.
Oh, yeah,
And like my
nice.
series will be watching the first Doctor for the first time in 2023, and then yada yada yada, leading
Yeah.
up to the 60th. That's what I imagine the series to be. And I'm just at Troughton now, so I'm not going very far. But then, because I was like, I'm going to start this series, and then like I saw on BritBox it's getting taken off. I'm like, oh dear, I've been shot in the foot here. And I mentioned that to Adam Richard, and they were like, oh no, I've got you covered. But no, I'm having so much fun with that. You have no idea, because there's just so much Classic Who there.
So much.
Yeah.
And I've always been so scared to dip my toes in. But I'm having the best time with it. What was the Hartnell story I watched? What's the one where there's all the Dalek comes out of the lake? What's that one? That's
Oh, the Dark Invasion.
Invasion of Earth.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
watching, and I was like, this would be like an insanely good modern day story. Like it's really, really well done. And like, you know, obviously like the sets and everything are not up to par, but like they are it's part of history, and it's glorious to watch and see all the filmmaking techniques. And like through watching all of Josh's like documentaries and stuff, I kind of know that, you know, they had a couple takes to get what they got, and then they have to use it. And it's just a beautiful part of filmmaking history. And yeah, William Hartnell, the GOAT. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go.
Really.
Yeah. That's something kind of new since we last spoke, Josh, is that I've now seen an entire season of William Hartnell, which is like
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah,
proud
season
of
2.
season 2.
Very
Yeah.
proud.
39 lovely episodes.
Wow.
Impressive. It's impressive.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
And
No,
getting
it's-
into Twice Upon a Time later as well, it's interesting to have now watched the actual performance properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing, like with Twice Upon a Time, is like for a lot of fans, like you guys right here, it's like well, you guys have seen classic series now, but this would be your first exposure to the First Doctor. So whatever you see on screen, you're like, that's what the First Doctor was like. So if they get the character slightly wrong, your perception of the character could be wrong as well.
Yeah.
That's funny how that works,
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like he was slightly more subtle in his actual run. I don't know.
Yes.
That's just the main thing.
I think that they always say the twinkle in the eye, but they're right. He has a sense of humor to the performance, and when he's being tough with people, it comes from a place of love, and he would do anything for these people. So, like, when he just comes across as a bit of an asshole, it doesn't really make sense for my perception of the First Doctor. But
that's funny because that's like how I guess like different people would view a Doctor, and it's like that's how I guess Stephen saw it, and that's how he was like, this is how I see him, this is what I think he's like, this is how I think he would be written in this episode. And it's interesting. And it's funny how you're right though, because like that was like my first exposure to like the First Doctor pretty much. Obviously I've seen little bits and pieces, so like that is kind of like, but I did hear a lot of backlash about that's not how he would necessarily have been written. I don't know. Different writers, different.
I think the thing with Moff, who we all love, but like
last episode with him,
the most common minor flaw of his is that he just gets a bit carried away with some of the humor and things like that. And I think that's kind of. Oh, door just slammed. I think that's kind of.
He's coming in. He said, what? He said, what?
Is that Steven? Holy shit.
But yeah, like I think this is just another case of that where he's just like kind of trying to use the humor of like old sexist men and things like that, and just doesn't really come off that great.
Yeah, no.
Because look, I think 60s Doctor Who could be sexist very often, and it was in the writing. But I don't think the First Doctor was necessarily written as a sexist.
No, not at all.
I think you could argue the First Doctor's more of a racist than he is a sexist. Yeah, and I think, but that's I don't think that could be as funny as you can as, oh, look how sexist he used to be, haha.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to critique the 60s sexism. And I think that's what he was doing. He was using the First Doctor to do it.
Exactly.
Because the moments they're referencing are things that did happen in his run, but out of context, it doesn't really work. Like the spring cleaning line is a reference to the Web Planet where Barbara says, we should do a spring clean of the TARDIS.
Right.
And it's her saying that, so that is a sexist thing for her character to say, but the Doctor didn't say it. Or the smacked bottom was a reference to something he said to Susan, his granddaughter, which is different between saying that's your granddaughter and to some random woman you just met. But yeah, I don't know.
That's why you're here, Josh. Giving us those facts.
The facts like that.
Well, as a natural segue there, let's move on to Twice Upon a Time.
I don't want to say quickly, Aiden.
Okay, just
this
ruin
is
the entire segue.
An end of an era.
It is.
Okay? I had to cut you off to say that. I mean, this is the last of Peter. This is the last of Stephen. This is the last of Murray.
Mark Gatiss gets a little farewell.
I think Mark will slither his way back into Doctor Who somehow. He'll be back. He'll be back.
He's
like, hey, I'm back, And I kind of would love it,
Lazarus will return.
Yeah, Lazarus returns, I'd welcome Mark back with open arms.
Yeah, I love him.
I'm just saying, like, this is kind of the end of an era. And, yeah, that's why we have to do a big celebration today for getting us all together. It's almost like a funeral,
Literally endgame.
Anyway, you can take it away now, Aiden.
Thank you, Connor. I hope that made you feel good. Twice Upon a Time is an episode of the British science fiction television series Doctor Who, written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Rachel Talalay. First broadcast as this is a weird sentence. First broadcast as the 13th. Oh, the 13th Christmas special. I thought this was saying the 13th episode of Series 10. I was like, what? Never mind. This is why I should read these in advance. It came out on bloody 25th of December 2017 on BBC One. PCAP's there. We got Jodie Whittaker rocking up at the end. David Bradley is the only First Doctor.
Yeah, the one and only. the original, you might say, David Bradley.
We've got Pearl Mackie back as Bill. We've got Jenna Coleman there as a little sneaky Clara green screen cameo. And Matt Lucas as Nadol. It picks up after the Doctor falls and also after the 10th planet. And y'all know it. It's the end of Peter Capaldi.
And Christmas specials. This was our last one.
For now.
Till this year, ladies and gentlemen. 2023.
Very true.
Crazy.
Let's go around the table. We all saw this sort of roughly live-ish, right?
I saw it earlier.
Oh, yeah, you said that, didn't you?
Here we
on
go.
your latest podcast.
God, Crispy, spill.
Cheeky.
Crispy, what did you think when you first saw it then, in this early date?
Well, I was fortunate enough to see it at the recording of Whovians, and usually when they film Whovians, it's like the day of when it comes out, because it'll come out like Sunday morning or whatever, and then they'd all go in the studio. We'd all watch the episode together, and then they'd film. But since it was a Christmas special, the first one they were reacting to, they had the date like on the 20th of December or something, because no one's coming in on Christmas or Boxing Day. So we got to see it really nice and early. Everyone was all dressed up. Everyone was very, very excited. And they cut the episode off as soon as Jodie Whittaker's eyes popped up at the end. So we didn't know the final scene.
Perfect.
So I was like, oh, come on. But no, it was a pretty fun experience. But yeah. That
Were
was
you
me.
under an embargo? Like, could you talk about it?
We weren't allowed to talk about it. That I don't think we had to sign anything, but as we entered, we had to put all our phones, like we got scanned, we had to put all our phones into stuff.
Yeah.
It was full on deal. It's pretty impressive stuff.
Wow, hey.
Yeah. What did you think when you first watched it? Like, what was your opinion?
I think I enjoyed it. It's hard to think back on them because it was such an exciting time. Like, because, it's a regeneration episode, it was Christmas, and I'm in this live studio audience where, everyone's reacting when Rusty rocks up, so it's like anything's exciting in the episode. I don't think it's a bad episode at all. I think we've all I know that the 50% boys agree, I don't know what Josh thinks, but I feel like we would have been fine if it ended with Dr. Falls. That would have been a fine finale.
Yeah.
But, having this as a little add-on, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think context that we have now, I think Moffat said at one point that because, and quite rightfully so, Chibnall didn't want to take over on a Christmas special. He wanted a full first season for his first run of episodes. And Moffat was scared they'd lose the Christmas slot, which, I mean, in the end, I guess that didn't really matter.
Yeah, that went well, didn't it?
So Moffat, I guess, put his hand up. And you can kind of tell that it is like they've just sort of extended the shoot, right? Like, it was definitely in the same block because you got same director and like...
Aren't you the same bloke who last week said it's not the third part? I literally said it's kind of like the continuation.
No. I'm just saying it's like you can tell it's a like very familiar crew involved, and
that's literally what I was saying last week.
Josh, what was your opinion when you?
See, you know,
like, Mum and Dad are fighting.
Yeah, that's how I've won because it's like move on.
Josh and I hearing through the wall. Oh no!
Just go to sleep.
I change my mind every single time I watch Twice Upon a Time when I think about it. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel like you have to be in the right mood. But when I watched it last night again in preparation, I really just enjoyed it. I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does feel like an afterthought. It feels exactly what it is, which is a last. Just try to stretch out another Christmas special because they want to keep the slot. And somebody decided they don't want the coveted Christmas spot that people would kill to have, and instead would rather just do it whenever the hell they like, potentially New Year's Day when everyone's hungover. But
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think I answered your question.
That's cool. Connor?
I'd say I've only watched this. I'd say this may be the third time I've watched it.
Right.
For a few reasons. Number one, because I never liked it. It kind of like we were just saying. I would have much preferred it ending with like Dr. Falls. Mm-hmm. But I also having a massive connection to Peter's Doctor, and this kind of being like, I know I keep joking, but the end of an era. I think it's not the kind of episode I can just chuck on. I think I have to be in the right kind of like mindset. I want to be like, ready to watch it. Even last night, I didn't really feel like watching it because it's like just quite an emotional episode. I feel like it's just like an ending for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of hate endings, I'm like the Doctor, I kind of hate endings. And I think Josh, you put it perfectly. It is a bit of an afterthought. And even to the extent where like there isn't necessarily even really a villain.
Or plot.
or plot. Like, it kind of just, the Doctor's just like, oh, they're not evil. I don't really know what to do when this happens.
Yeah.
Anywho.
And that's literally it.
Time to go die and regenerate. It's like, what? Like, I totally forgot. Going into this again, it was kind of like watching it for the first time.
Yep.
And, yeah, there's a lot to love about it, but also it just sadly feels like an afterthought. And it's kind of sad to have that as Stephen's last one, but, you know, and with Maury leaving as well, we get some beautiful callbacks to
Definitely.
old pieces of score, which is so lovely to hear. And, I think it's definitely an episode of Doctor Who.
It's one of them.
It's one of them, you know,
Yeah.
of all time, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of its own thing in its own way, and you can either love that or hate it, I think.
Yeah. Fair.
Aiden, what about you?
Back in
Take the reins here.
Lovely.
Where were you in 2017?
2017, right.
Boxing
So,
Day, Perth,
well,
Western Australia.
I think that I didn't watch this on Boxing Day, which is, I think, the only time I
You
haven't
fake
watched a
fan.
Doctor Who episode the day it's come out, I think.
Bro, what the hell?
Since
What's your
1963. My excuse was on Boxing Day I
Didn't wanna
was
watch
drunk
it.
playing cricket with my friends, I think. And so I watched it hungover the next day, and it was probably the first... I think this is the first episode that my girlfriend would have watched with me, actually. Because she's only watched like 5, and pretty much every time she's like, what is this dumb show?
It's a great introduction.
But
episode.
she watched this, and I think she like appreciated how much like it like this ending kind of meant to me and stuff. So it was kind of a sweet side story there. But I always thought it was fine, like it was passable, and it ticked the boxes, I guess. And other little bit of context is that this was the very last episode I watched before we cut ourselves off to do this rewatch.
Really?
So yeah, because I remember we were talking about doing the rewatch for the podcast, and I was like, we hadn't locked it in yet, and I had an urge to watch PCAP, and so
Right.
I was sort of like, I'll watch his last one, and that way that'll be in like 3 years' time, and here we are.
Wow.
You made it. Well done.
Wow. And it nearly has been 3 years' time. So
Yeah, in like 2-3 months.
holy
yeah.
smokes. Yeah, no, I think I watched it on Boxing Day.
I'm sorry,
Actually,
I'm so
I
fake.
did. I love how it's like it meant so much to me. I skipped it for a whole day and watched it the next day.
Well, I knew that if
How
I
much
watched
it
it,
meant to me. I'm just gonna leave it for a day. And Crispy watched it a whole like 6 days before us. You know,
Well-
that's a flex. You know, Fair
I will
enough.
just leave. No, I'll
Too
use
busy-
that thread again.
Too busy playing cricket.
I'm terrible at cricket.
Nah, fair enough. You know, it's an emotional episode. I get it.
Yeah,
It's a hard pill to swallow.
it is. So, where do you two sort of sit with it now? Josh, you said you flip-flop. Where are we?
Crispy.
Oh, you want me to? Okay. I also flip flop on this episode. I've been having many thoughts about this episode since you guys asked me to be on this one. The one thing that always kind of annoyed me, I'm fine with it, I think, is that they brought Pearl Mackie back. Like, what's the name of the? I haven't. What's the name of the villain? The
Glass
the
woman.
people that. what?
Testimony.
Testament. Thank
Testimony,
you.
that's it.
I was fine with that, and I like the idea of it. But then I also had the thought, what if instead of Pearl Mackie we had Jenna Coleman back? But then I was like, Jenna Coleman already did kind of come back in Hellbent. But I thought that could have been kind of cool because you had this like very emotional end for Bill the episode previously, and then wabam, right back. So that always kind of annoyed me, but I'm a big fan of Pearl Mackie, and the performance in this episode is fine, is great. And so, I mean, I honestly don't know. I feel like we're all kind of like, it's good, it's bad, we don't know. It's like this strange little middle ground of an episode. I don't know. It's a mixed bag, for sure.
The
I
Bill
don't
thing
know.
as well is weird because and even like Nardole and even Clara, like they're not actually the characters,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think there's this kind of weird thing where it's like, you know, there almost feels like there's a little bit less emotional weight, and it almost just feels like depressing that he's just talking to like an empty void of like memories.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of do wonder, like, was it necessary to bring them back for the whole episode if it's just not even them. It's like kind of feels weird to wrap up her arc to then just bring her back. But Moffat's like, but she's not actually back. Mm-hmm. It's just all of Bill's memories, and you kind of sat there scratching your head, going, "Oh,
Yeah,
all right."
well, Moffat can't let people die. It's just he doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it.
It's like
That's
she's
fine.
only been gone for like one episode. All right, we'll bring her back.
I like
It's
how,
too long.
like, yeah, he's so scared of like consequences that even Clara's big thing of like the Doctor forgetting her memories, she's just like, you have your memories back.
They're all back.
Ta-da!
Well,
Like
it's the
that,
exact
that's
same
just,
thing as forgetting the Daleks. You know,
Yes, yeah,
they're back.
Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
literally.
But I don't know.
It should have been Susan.
I was about to say that. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
It should have been
a great
Susan. Like the
point.
first Doctor's there. I when I first watched it on broadcast, I thought Susan was going to step out because you know when Bill walks out and we just see the shadow. I was like, they're not going to bring back Caroline Ford because
Yeah.
it makes sense. And I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
there's probably more emotional weight there because there actually is a story arc to finish. You know, with Susan being left behind.
Yeah,
As in you would have liked the actual Carol Ann Ford instead of Testimony? Or a Testimony version of Susan?
Testimony version of Susan.
Okay.
Right.
yeah.
Cool.
What about what
would've
about
been
my theory of Caroline Ford hunting the Doctor? That's my.
I would like that. And
Just a
it's just
badass
Caroline
Susan.
Ford with this like massive gun, like how Rose has.
Yeah, Rose.
Yeah.
You left me alone with these Daleks, and you're done, Doctor
You'll get it
Who.
in the 60th with Neil Patrick
Yeah,
Harris
60th
when
is
he's
around the time.
playing
Yeah.
Yeah.
Susan.
NPH is Susan confirmed.
Josh, didn't
Yeah.
you say that you released a review for this episode on your channel?
Oh, years and years ago, like when it came out. So I probably don't agree with anything I said because I change my mind every 5 seconds. But there's probably some things that line up. I didn't like how they represented the first Doctor in it whatsoever. Now I'm a bit more open to it. I think David Bradley does a really good job, and at some points you can really believe it's him. I just think sometimes the writing lets him down, and I think because it's the first time a lot of people are going to see the first Doctor, they're going to get the wrong idea, and especially because this is a Doctor who William Hartnell invented the character. And ever since, he's the bottom of the favourite Doctors list every single time. And it's like, this is someone, like, we wouldn't be here talking about this if it wasn't for William Hartnell.
Yeah.
And I think it's wrong, to a certain extent, to just show a problem with the writing that wasn't Bill's fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't got an answer, really. But, yeah. I don't know.
How do you feel about the possibility of in the future this becoming maybe the norm with other Doctors getting recast, or do you think they should just leave it?
I
That's
have
a
a lot
hard
of
one, you know.
Yeah, like I talk about this in a video that's coming out next week, actually.
Oh,
Tease.
sneak peek.
Breaking news.
Where
Let's go.
I try and talk about the line between when does it stop being honouring the character and when does it become like exploitive, and when does a character stop being an actor and when does it become a character?
Yeah.
As William Hartnell's dead, the first Doctor still lives on. Is it wrong that we're just forgetting about William Hartnell and we're just thinking about David Bradley now? Is that the first Doctor? Whereas you've got other roles out there where people have played them a million times, it's not a problem because it's not attached to an actor. But when it's like a screen performance, it's inherently tied. Their performance is tied to the character, in my opinion. I think it's different. Whereas like a theatre show, a different person playing, I don't know, Frankenfurter or someone from Greece, or, you know, it's different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't
feel-
even think people would think that like David Bradley is like the understudy because it's very much replaced.
Yeah.
And like even on the Doctor Who socials, you know, they were
Yeah.
talking about the first Doctor and they had David Bradley there, and you're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
I don't feel good about
That is
it.
pretty
I don't
nice.
feel good about it, babes.
No, exactly.
What about
Yeah.
the guy that played him in the Five-ish Doctors? Oh no, the Five Doctors. That's it.
Five
What about
Doctors.
him?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
about William Hurndall? Like, no one's
That's the
talking about
boy.
Where is he?
Richard Hurndall, sorry. Richard Hurndall.
Yeah, there you go.
I was blending them both together.
It'd be odd if like we're like, you know, in our late 80s or something, if we're lucky enough to get there and like seeing maybe a new like interpretation of like the 11th Doctor or the 10th
I thought you were
Doctor.
if it's the
Chalamet.
10th Doctor, it would still be David
Yeah,
Tennant.
if it's like, they'll be wheeling out David in a wheelchair. But like, what if it's like Matt Smith or like Matt Smith bought on Wish? I would be sat at home going like, what on God's green earth is this? Like, like this would just be. I don't know how I'd feel being such a huge fan of a Doctor and it happening.
Yes.
I don't think they'll do it. I think you guys may have actually touched on this in another 50% episode. I think Ada might have brought up the point that I think they only did it because it is the first Doctor. Like, that is an integral part of the show, and that's why they had David Bradley in there. I think David Bradley's a fine performer. I really enjoyed that performance.
Agreed.
Definitely have problems with the script in Twice Upon a Time and some of the characterization. But I think they've only done that because, William Hartnell was the first to bring it to our screens. So I don't see that trend continuing past David Bradley. If they do, then they've got to do it for all the rest of them. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
That's the thing.
It's weird.
I think the idea of recasting Tom Baker is sacrilegious.
Oh,
but they don't see the same thing with William Hartnell. But I do agree. I think because he is the first Doctor, it's different because there's so much you can do with that because they were the first one to leave Gallifrey. There's so much storytelling there that's untapped that you just want. So, I hope that is the case, that it's kind of just like they'll replace Hartnell and it's supposed to be honouring, but I hope it continues to be honouring and not exploitive. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's like a certain wriggle room as well because of An Adventure in Space and Time. Is that it? Space and Time or Time and Space? Space and Time.
Space and Time.
Like that kind of, for me, worked as like a bit of a natural transition. That's sort of where I sit with it.
It's a smart idea to do, I think, what they did with, like, we had already, been used to him playing William Hartnell and the Doctor, technically, in the, the documentary movie. So, I think it's an interesting thing they did, and I think it's smart. And obviously, he just came back a couple of months ago in Power of the Doctor. Yeah. And it felt normal. Yeah. It felt natural.
I gasped.
Yeah, I gasped. I wasn't expecting it.
That's another thing as well, where they show him first, don't they? And that's like another sort of thing of him being the first Doctor. So it's
hands up
him first.
Doing the
I obviously, like, I think, we just said that about Tom. I think, like, if they try and do it again, I think it would be like borderline really offensive. Yeah. Because you're also being like, okay, now that actor's gone, bring in the new one. It's like, woof, like, maybe slow down a little bit. Just respect what was done,
Hang on. I mean, yes, I agree. But let's find this random scenario where they find this random actor that we've never heard of. They are a spitting image of Tom Baker. They have the exact same mannerisms, facial. Like, it's the second reincarnation. How would you feel then?
I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't know. I don't know.
It would just depend on the story. Like, what story demands the fourth Doctor?
True. True. That's a valid point.
Where I kind of sit with it. The only one that I wouldn't mind, and I know Big Finish haven't done this specifically, but the whole idea of casting like the relative or the descendant, because I know Sean Pertwee said he's not interested at all in doing it, but because he looks very similar to John, right? I think.
Yeah.
And so that is like another thing where I'm like, oh, there's kind of a nice honouring side if he ever turned around and said, I'd do it. And I know Liz Sladen's daughter is playing Sarah Jane in Big Finish at the moment, isn't she? And I think that's kind of sweet. I don't really have a problem with that.
I did not know that. That's amazing.
Well, they did that with the Sopranos movie because James Gandolfini died from the TV show, and his son Michael Gandolfini played the younger version of himself in the movie.
Right.
So there's like he plays younger Tony Soprano, and the movie is set in the past. So that to me works perfectly well. And obviously they kind of are like the split image of each other. Yeah. So there is a way of doing it, I think. But I think you're right. I don't think it's necessary at the moment.
I don't think they will.
Like, we have to explore a 15th Doctor at the moment. Like, it's like... And, it's
We've got two Doctors on the way.
We've got two Doctors to explore. One we're kind of familiar with. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Depends how you look at it. But it's like, I think we got to focus on like the future right now. But I think it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting idea. We'll see how it keeps going. But,
if you want to look at a past Doctor that needs more... Joe Martin, just give Joe Martin more stuff if you want to do that kind of thing.
Joe Martin, Paul McGann, there are there are doctors who I'm sure would, we're waiting on that Matt Smith, David Tennant, spin-off
Don't
that
get me started.
Aiden knows is coming out,
Any day now.
I'm just waiting on that announcement to come out so I can give Aiden some humble pie, Yeah.
What do we think? We all love Rach. Obviously, this is
Rachel's
so far.
supremacy.
This is the last of Rachel so far, but she'll obviously return for the 60th.
Yeah.
What do we
so
think
keen.
of her directing this episode? Josh, you take the reins first.
Oh, she really is the best of the best for the new series, isn't she? We're so blessed to have someone as talented as her working on Little Doctor Who. And I'm really happy that they brought her back for the 60th. It's a really great way of saying, what do we have here already? What's worked so well? Let's bring her back.
Absolutely.
And then also bringing in new talent as well. They found that really good balance. And I'm hoping that's the future of Doctor Who. And I was like thinking, like, the Jodie regeneration scene, like as soon as Capaldi regenerates and it's Jodie, those moments is just incredible. I think it's one of the best post-regeneration sequences of all the new series.
Yep.
Like that, they found that perfect balance of like the really, really sad to the really, really happy and excited. And like, you were just like, this is like, it felt groundbreaking in that moment.
Yeah.
Especially because it's her first female doctor as well. And I
Yeah.
felt like, the future is here. Doctor Who is going to change forever. And it's pretty much the same old shit, isn't it? So it's not the same. But it felt like, something big is going to happen, but it was just Doctor Who.
At the time.
Yeah. You mentioned.
And I wouldn't ask for anything different. I love Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God.
You
Consistency
mentioned
is key.
in a tweet, Josh. Was it? Did you mention the ring is like a callback to
Yeah.
the second Doctor or something?
Yeah, when Hartnell regenerated the Troughton, his ring falls off. And I thought that
Right.
was a really nice callback. And it was just one of those things where it's like, it's mirroring the Hartnell regenerating in that story as well. And, it just felt like they were trying to, like, saying goodbye to the past and saying hello to the future. It was on so many different levels it worked.
Yeah.
And also, we knew, behind the scenes, we knew that was Peter Capaldi's wedding ring.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
yes.
the wedding ring.
So it has
I didn't
so
know that. I was
many
Literally about to
layers.
say that,
Yeah.
So it's actually his personal wedding ring.
He
Wow.
refused to take it off, and that was part of it. And I'm
Yeah,
glad they addressed
it's
it
so
in that
cute.
scene. And
He
it's
is
the
the
classic
goat.
connection. Mwah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many layers. Like
Yeah.
every
Delicious.
step, that shot is
I
incredible.
love that as his actual wedding ring. It's
That's
so cute.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
The goat. Crispy.
Yeah.
Rachel Talele.
Yeah.
Ta-la-la-la.
Talele.
Always been impressed with Rachel's work on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Always. One of the most consistently good directors we've ever had. Very creative and very vocal on Instagram and Twitter and about the behind the scenes. Recently, she's been going through her old camera roll and just finding all these pics from like Dark
love
Water
stuff
and
like that.
Death in
Yeah.
Heaven, and like she's obviously very passionate about the show and is a champion of the show. And you can see that comes through. And she's a massive TV director, and we're very lucky to have her. And yeah, her direction in this episode, perfect.
Yeah.
That's all I could want. Thank you.
Fantastic. She needs to be directing like huge things, right? We're so lucky to have her on Little Old Doctor Who.
On
but
little old Docky Who.
she's even directs loads of The Flash on the CW, which is shows
Yeah.
that have like shortest turnaround ever. Like I
Oh,
know
yeah.
someone that worked on Arrow, and it's ridiculous what they worked with, like their turnarounds and stuff. It's and they have slightly less creative. What's the word I'm looking for?
Control.
Not necessarily
Jinx.
control, but you don't have time to really do too many experimental things and things that will be
Right.
different.
There's no time to
you-
go dreamy.
Yeah, exactly. You've just got to kind of stick to
Like
like
improvise.
over the shoulder shot,
Improvising a bit.
two shots.
That's it,
Yeah, there's no time for that kind of freedom. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happened here and there, but it would be so rare to see like a one shot in a CW show or something like
Right.
that. You just don't have the time to coordinate that.
No.
Yeah, so we're lucky to have them. CW's lucky to have her.
Yeah, I really...
She needs to direct like everything.
Yeah, I really hope with under Russell's tenure that, with Russell last time we had Graham Harper and like Uroslin and all that and James Strong and all that. And I just hope that we can get, obviously it's amazing to have Rachel back. Rewatching these last 3 episodes, knowing that she's coming back, being my favourite Doctor Who director was like an absolute dream come true. I'm so happy. I really hope also we get those directors where like we are excited to, because everyone was always excited when Rachel was slated to direct like the finals. Like everyone always knew we were in for a good time.
Yeah.
I really hope we can get other directors, I'm sure we will, that we can be excited that we are getting an episode from them. And it seems that we're going down that way, but if we could get that again, I think, because we're going through Matt's era, and there wasn't really that standout.
It's a shame,
director,
hey.
or really with actually saying that with
there's
Peach,
one
you had Rachel.
for me in
you know.
the Matt era, which
There
was
is-
Nick Hurren.
Yeah.
Dom
Yes.
Complex.
There is one,
Girl Who
yeah.
Waited 50th. That was my favorite of the Matt era, but I think that was only the 3 they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
Angels
some
Take Manhattan
others
and
as
Asylum. So
Yes,
those
I think that's
5.
right.
And I always thought they were the best visually, but they're all pretty close episodes to each other.
That's the thing. I think a lot of the Matt era was just like
They did like a-
blocks.
they did like a block,
they
yeah.
shot
Yeah,
episode like
yeah.
6 and 9 together, and that's why they had the same director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a shame we never got like really consistent recurring
Yeah.
directors in Matt's era.
I agree.
Especially because I think the 11th Hour is probably one of the best directed episodes of Doctor Who as well.
Yeah.
And it's a
Couldn't say
shame
we
that
tried
I think the director did that, and then 4 and 5.
That's right, and then
And then
else.
I think they directed a lot of music videos.
They
and
were
stuff.
just like a puff of smoke, and they would never come back.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, you know.
and someone did
yeah.
Pandarica opens, Big Band,
Yeah,
Christmas
Christmas
Carol,
Carol.
and then the season 6 opener.
Yeah, the two, and they never came out.
Gosh,
And
that'd
we
be
were like, we
exhausting.
loved it. Yeah, we were like, that was, I can't remember their name. I apologize, but that's the thing. Like, that's who I was trying to remember their name. But like, they were
Yeah,
like
who did
amazing.
those?
Yeah,
'Cause
I can't
those-
remember.
I
They
love
were
those,
really
all
good.
those.
They were dope.
Yeah,
and
they're
were all
well-directed episodes.
amazing, and I just So I just hope that I feel like we're gonna get it. I'm just I do want to have that like consistency of directors where we're just excited again to see
we
said
do
name
know,
pop up.
We do know one director that's coming over for series 14. I can't remember their name, but they directed
Mark?
Ghost Monument and Rosa.
Is it Mark
Oh, really?
Conroy?
Yeah. So
See,
You
Mark,
I
is
said
that how
that
you say
last
his last
time,
name?
yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
cool.
I've never said it out loud.
Yeah, I've always said it in a tweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited because I really enjoyed the direction of Ghost Monument and Rosa as
Yeah.
visually, like I think they're stunning. So I'm excited that Russell
that's great then,
might be
yeah.
using as we've said, like the talent from the past that worked, but hopefully we'll bring on new talent that we love again.
Bring on the new talent as well.
Yeah. The director that I was talking about, who I don't know if this name rings a bell to you guys, but it really does to me, is Toby Haynes,
That's right.
who directed the series 5 finale, 6 premiere, and Christmas Carol. Toby Haynes was one of the big powerhouses and a director of a lot of the episodes of Andor, which for me is
no
one of the
shit.
best Star Wars shows. Like creatively, it's so well
Yeah.
made. I don't know if either of
Wow.
you two have seen it.
I've seen the first episode.
Bang,
I'm
me
meaning
too.
to finish it.
It gets a lot better from there as well. I'll say.
Damn, directed some Sherlock as well.
Yeah,
that's
Black
where
Mirror.
I think I recognise the name from.
Yeah,
He went on
That's
to
what I mean,
Disney
though.
money. Good for him.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think like
So's Doctor Who, I guess.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, yeah.
in this day and age.
the Black Mirror episode he did was the USS Callister. I don't know if you remember that one.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So man's good at
Wow.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of it being on Disney now is so enticing for a lot of creative minds. So I do think we're gonna have a lot more of a chance to get some amazing, not even just directors, like also writers. I think that we just need to start. I do have the feeling that this season 14 is gonna be quite Russell heavy. Not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm looking forward to also after that who we can get in for little episodes here and there.
And
It's
series
like
1
standalone, you
was
know.
very Russell heavy as well,
Yeah.
wasn't
Exactly,
it? Because he did like
exactly.
1, 2, 4, 5, 7,
Yeah.
and then the last 3, I think.
Last 3, yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure we will get some people in to do, episodes here and there, but I think it will be quite Russell heavy. But
Yeah.
no, I'm just like, I'm super excited. Like, super excited.
And just to wrap up this director talk, I think it would be remiss of us not to mention Jamie Magnus Stone, who was sort of Jodie's recurring director. And every time his name was on the credits, you kind of knew you were in for a
That's
really
true.
good visual
That's
looking
true.
episode. Like
I
is
really
true.
enjoyed Jamie's direction. Like I think they're very good with the longer takes as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the way they do it. I just think is really good.
Yeah, I feel like his episodes just popped. Like just the colors.
Visually.
Jodie's era sometimes, even though it was shot really nicely, and I think Josh, you've mentioned this quite a bit on Twitter as well. Like if you look at the grade, it's just
Beige.
so. Yeah,
But that's television at the moment. It's not their
Yeah, I
fault.
know.
Every show's beige now, washed
Yeah.
out,
Trying to
green.
look like a music video.
Yeah.
I think we're on the mend. I do think we are
Yeah,
coming out
we're
of
getting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're figuring it out.
Yeah, but Jamie's episodes for me always kind of broke that a little bit and did look a bit
Yeah.
more colourful, and I always
That's the
appreciate
thing.
that.
I think my mum was watching some like BBC program the other day, and it's airing in the UK right now, and it just looks so clean and like polished, and like it just didn't look right. It was just so like
real.
it was like it just didn't look real, and
Yeah.
I'm like, where's the color grade in this bitch? Like, you know, it's like I don't know, it's a hard rope to walk.
Yeah.
It's like obviously we're in a day and age where it can look stunning, but it just looked like dog shit in my opinion.
Yeah.
Where's the color grade in this bitch? Is probably the best thing you've ever said on this.
Needs to be on a t-shirt. Needs to be on a t-shirt. Whenever you're editing.
That's another thing for the merch.
Where's the color grade in this
Get the merch
bitch?
going, you know?
Where is it?
Hey, what can I say, you know?
Y'all-
I'm a walking quote, you know? What can I say?
Y'all know I love my toxic Love Island, and I was watching
God.
that.
Yeah,
It's shot on like security cameras in
Yeah,
the house
the
sort of
best
thing.
security cameras.
But every now and then they go outside and they film with like actual cameras. And honestly, I don't know if you all would know this sort of thing. Josh, you probably do. But like most of it looks like it's shot in log, and they've just not graded it. Like it is just the flattest fucking thing I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I'm
dear.
saying. That look to me, it just doesn't look good.
No.
And I'm kind of terrified about what comes next with who. I really do hope it has a different look that suits the... Like, obviously it's gonna look amazing, but I just like... I don't know if I'm explaining it properly, but like, there is a look sometimes in new TV shows where they just look way too polished and they don't look real, like real
Yeah.
life. And that is a huge way to take me out of a show or not so much a movie, but you know, you get what I mean, I think.
Well, I think the 60th already looks like it's going to pop from the trailers.
Yeah.
So that's dope to me.
Yes.
And I
Correct.
think one thing that's weird in like the streaming age, I don't know if either of you have picked up on it, is that each streaming service has a bit of a look. Like Netflix for a while was doing the Stranger Things look. And then like Disney Plus was way washed out, and everything has to be like Cinescope, which I don't like for TV. I prefer just normal 16:9 because everything just feels like it's trying to be a movie. But with this being a BBC production, we're not going to get that.
We're not going to get that. But
Yeah.
yeah. No, they're throwing a lot of money at Doctor Who, and I think it will... I think they're going to try to make it look the best it's ever looked. I know this might be a weird segue, but I saw something today when they said when they were building the new TARDIS, they said it was like building a church. Apparently it's massive.
Yeah.
And they were filming with drones in it.
That's crazy,
So,
hey.
I'm excited to see what the
God.
heck that looks like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're in for a visually stunning treat in the
A
coming
visual treat.
Yeah, I think they said I think as well the TARDIS is going to stay the same with David and Shooty, but I think the lighting's just going to change with Shooty. I think with David it's going to be like a light blue, and I think with Shooty it's going to be almost like the color of Pete's TARDIS, like that kind of like
Where did you read that? Was that in...
Wait, where are you finding that? Where's
I've
the
got my
colour grade in this
sources,
bit?
you know. I got
Connor's
my
like,
sources.
My mate
you
on
know.
Twitter.
I'm just saying. I don't know where I
On-set
read it.
correspondence.
That is my job. You know, I did.
Yeah.
You know, I did go on Josh's set. I don't know if you've heard. But, you
And you were
know,
inspired, and then you
I-
somehow got hired as the lighting guy
You
in the
know.
TARDIS.
Word travels. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that could be a load of bullshit, but you know, you heard it here first, folks.
Where's the color grade on this bitch?
Yeah, where's the color grade in this bitch? That's why I said when I'm on set. Like, I'm getting
That's what you said
Connor
on
watching
set.
Night of the Daleks. He's like, where's the color grade? It's black and white.
Yeah, something's gone wrong here. What's going on?
All right, we've had our fun. Let's move on. Murray, we kind of mentioned Murray the goat before. This is
gone.
for me. Definitely does slightly fall into the trap of like just a lot of repeated themes and motifs in this, and I would have liked a more original track for Pete's Regeneration, but I think the guy scored 10 seasons of Doctor Who over 12 years. I think he's allowed to just do a flex for his last 60 minutes and just throw his best tracks.
Well, it was
in
like
there.
a reprise of Shepherd's Boy, wasn't it?
It was, and some of the reused scores he did were like slightly different variations of them.
Yeah. We
like they
did
weren't
he do
just exactly.
Doomsday reprise?
Doomsday was in there. It's just like a nice little.
Yeah, I noticed a little bit of Doomsday. Yeah.
During
Yeah.
the what do you call it? The first Doctor and Bill scene wasn't the like Rose's theme in the background, like Doomsday. I thought that was just an odd point to put it, but I mean, for sure, Murray's like, oh,
yeah, that is an interesting
put it there.
place to put it.
That's what I sort of feel sometimes when I watch it. It's these great themes, and they're so great, and it's because we're such fans and we're nerds, and we listen to the score separately and things like that.
Correct.
And so
Spotify Wrapped, and we're like, oh,
it's so bad. But we so closely associate just little bits of music with like particular moments, and that's why it's so huge for us. And yeah, once or twice that happened in this episode, I think. But
yeah, what about Rusty coming back? So this is
the goat!
Peter's second
Rusty
episode.
the goat.
My cat is called Rusty, so I've got a little bit of
Obviously named after.
No, it was
Dalek.
named for my granddad's cat in the UK, actually.
Right, so Moffat named Rusty after your
unless
cat.
he had some connections to the BBC a couple years ahead. Yeah, so I think it's cool that Rusty's back, but I don't know why he's back.
Because there was 10 minutes of plot that Moffat desperately needed.
last thing I expected.
And he has this head full of archives. I guess.
I didn't understand the plot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there isn't really a plot. I guess
It's very basic, but I think that's why I'm confused.
And a lot of little Daleks, mutants out of their shell, really bad CGI running around going
Yeah, that's nice.
There you go. That's
Cool.
I'm not gonna. Okay, that's my impersonation of a dark out of its shell. Okay, honestly though,
Good. You should use that more.
I will.
Thanks.
The CGI for the darks out of their shell and the CGI for the glass women. Sorry, I forgot their name.
Yeah, testimony.
Far out. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound negative, but it just looks like fucking dog shit.
Mm.
Sorry.
I don't know. I can't speak for Josh, but I didn't mind the testimony because that just felt very sci-fi, very
Yeah,
you
I was
know.
fine with it.
Yeah, I don't
Sorry,
know. The Daleks for sure. I mean, they didn't look the great, but for testimony, I was like, oh, it's kind of an aesthetic. I mean, just sure, whatever.
Sure.
I always feel
Whatever.
bad actually shitting on CGI because I'm these poor people, they get the worst deadlines ever and they get paid nothing and they just get slaved away and I'm just sat here on my podcast going, it looked like dog shit.
Yeah.
I'm so bad. I'm sorry. I still loved it, by the way.
I feel
Great
as well,
work.
just what we were sort of talking about before, how this kind of feels like it was just a quick tacked on thing to have a Christmas special made. I'm sure the budget was maybe a little bit stretched at this point,
they had,
and
no
so not as much time
probably.
could be put onto it.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
There's definitely a reason for it.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's a weird one. Very weird one.
Sorry, CGI artists. I feel like I owe them an apology now. I apologise to CGI Doctor Who.
There's the CGI on Pete's regen is it's different, it's not the same, even though it's still blah, it's like a blah. It's like a splatter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost a bit watery.
Yeah, it's a wet regen.
Bit of a wet
How did we think
regen,
about the
yeah.
soggy regen?
Oh, I don't like that.
Soggy regen. Soggy regen.
Only on 50%.
Damn,
Soggy regen thoughts? Not the word. The
yeah,
scene.
thoughts on song.
I can't think past soggy region. There's no thoughts. It's just that phrase.
Yeah.
Nah, I got nothing for you, babes.
That's cool.
The regens, I think, weirdly enough, Time of the Doctor and this one, I think 10s looked much better than 11 and 12s. And I don't know why.
DLCs.
Maybe it's because it's less of a soggy regen. But one thing that always annoyed me in the Time of the Doctor, when Matt's going love from Gallifrey, boys, and he's going like this, and then when he goes shoots it up at the ship, how do I explain this? The regeneration energy should go but instead it just goes. It's not really good for an audio platform. It goes from less fluidity to this really solid movement.
Beam of light.
Yeah, beam of, so, and I feel like that kind of carried on through Pete's, but I mean, I think Pete's regen is absolutely fine. I really, really enjoyed it. The one thing that annoyed me about Pete's regen was that they used the actual regen in the trailer for this episode, which I was like, you don't need to use that in the trailer. That's a special moment for us Doctor Who fans. We don't need a little.
They did,
hint.
didn't they?
Yeah. But I mean, I'm fine with it. I'll have a like soggy regen any day. But that's fine.
God, that is a weird word, hey.
That's what I'm here for.
I think the best regeneration visual effect was in The Impossible Astronaut.
Oh, that was so good.
That one was beautiful. Like all the particles and that. I remember that looking really great.
That did look great.
And then it wasn't a real one. It was a fake regeneration. So
Fake regen.
That's why I always say, get the Tesselector to do your regen. That's what I always say.
You say it every day.
I say that every day. Every damn day.
What else is there to go through in this episode? Is there much more?
Well, I guess we could say just briefly, I really love the last scene between...
Oh, yes.
There is like the which happened in real life. I'm trying to think of the fucking place it happened and I can't. I'm such a great podcaster.
We'll narrow it down.
Earth. It's where the two opposing sides on Christmas Day decided to
the No Man's Zone
stop
kind of
fighting.
vibe. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that actually happened. And I think there's something just like really beautiful and heartbreaking about that, where these men were forced to fight each other in a war that really had nothing to do with them. They didn't want to kill each other. They decided on Christmas Day, and like the Doctor says, it only happened once, never happened again, that they just come out and like just share time together, and then literally the next day go back to killing each other. I think that is like so beautiful and incredibly heartbreaking at the same time, and to be shown in a Doctor Who episode, I think was great.
Yeah,
a really good moment in history to show.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked we haven't even really spoken about Mark Gatiss in this episode, but that whole
I do love Mark.
Sort of those sets like in the what are they called, the trenches and stuff, that was also like really cool. I need to keep watching these with my family because I've been watching them upstairs on the new TV. It's like I keep just having guests coming in
8K.
And I keep just having like people just walk in whilst I'm watching it. And Dad walked in like half an hour in and just sat down and watched the rest of it with me, and he rated it, so that was kind of sweet. But then there was like 5 minutes to go, and I heard like the front door bang, and I was like, oh fuck, here comes Mum.
Oh god.
And like Mum came in and like I think Pete's like just turning to say bye to the first Doctor or something, and Mum walks in, she's like, hey guys, and I just turned to Mum and I was like, Mum, please leave. And she was like, I get it.
I need your mum to come in every time you watch Doctor Who now.
Just a good story of the week.
We just need the Jane report, like just to come in and be like, hey, this is what I thought of this episode. Yeah, the last 15 minutes though, I think are golden and beautiful. And, not really a dry eye in the house, if you ask me,
I was about to cry, and then, Jane showed her face. I was like,
Jane came in and, ruined the vibe a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
But those last 15 minutes are really beautiful, I think.
Yeah, what do you two think?
It's stunning. I think, it's such a Moffat bit of storytelling, and you took that real bit of history. And Moffat's he's a smart writer. Moffat's a very smart writer. And he needed a way to tie up this Mark Gatiss arc and everything. And I think Toby Whithouse is the other soldier, by the way.
Is that actually? I heard that. Is that actually him?
Yeah. I think that's him.
I heard that as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But regardless, Moffat, he's good at pulling on the heartstrings, and the last 15 minutes, if anything to remember from this episode, it definitely nailed the landing, and I think we can all appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Josh?
I hated Peter Capaldi's regeneration speech, but
it's up and down for me.
It's up and down. It depends on what it is. I like most of it, but I think it's one of those things when you're referencing something from real, okay, so how he's talking about, he's looking to the camera, he's talking about children will know my name and that stuff. We know, as sad little nerds as we are, we know that was something that he said in real life to a kid at a convention. And that's why he wanted it included in his speech. And it takes me out of it. Oh, yes, I'm watching Peter Capaldi on screen. I'm not watching Doctor Who.
Valid point.
It's like, what's that line? Where is it a reference, and when is it actually
what about
good?
The
that's the whole point of this episode with David Bradley, you were saying, like, you know, some of the lines of dialogue, you're like, yes, that's references to, you know, things that happen in Doctor Who, but that might, like, now we're talking about, you know, the actor or the scenario that happened rather than the character itself.
Yeah. Even stuff like, I'm the original, you might say. Some stuff like, why would they remember saying that? They don't remember saying that. Like, or like, oh, you've redecorated it. It's like, okay, you said that like 1,000 years ago. You're referencing yourself. It's weird. I don't understand that. I hate it. But apart from that,
the pairs line, it was from the Family of Blood, or there was a deleted scene where you know how Martha goes through the doctor's recording the TARDIS and it's going like blah, 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 blah. I think David just had to film a load of shit. I've memorized that. Yeah, like I think
the whole thing.
I think
the one bit I always say whenever I'm doing like an audio test or whatever, I go bingle bongle dingle dangle yippee da ping pong lippy tappy two killer. Like, that's one of my favorite deleted scenes.
Exactly. In the episode they can show it because it was just like sped up, and he says it there, and then Peter says it in his regeneration speech, and I'm kind of just sat there going like, what the hell? Like, it's just like it's a very niche.
Yeah, it's a really niche reference.
That, like, only maybe 10% of the population of Doctor Who fans would actually get.
Yeah, let alone the people that are watching it just as like a regular viewer.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the regeneration was actually like always my favorite. Rewatching it last night, I didn't love it as much as I remember, but I would say it's probably still my favorite. But yeah, I didn't funnily enough, I didn't actually like it as much as I remember, or find it as emotional as I remember.
For me, it just I don't know. Yeah, it just flexes too hard on like past lines and things like that. But it's funny that you guys say that about the child line, because for me, I didn't know that context. And for me, No. But for me, I interpreted it as Moffat was like a direct from Moffat kind of vibe, because Moffat has always been so having kids involved, and that's such a staple of his era. It's young kids that are always on board for the ride, you know, from Amelia Pond at the start. And so for me, that was more from Moff, but interesting that it's not.
Well, maybe it was a perfect blend of both, but we will never know until we get Moffat on.
What did get Moffat on?
Any day now.
He's outside. You knocked before.
He says slam the door.
Sorry, what was this thing that Pete did? He said to a fan at a convention. What did he say? He just said.
I don't remember the exact story, so I don't want to like make it up. But it was something. It was something like he said to a fan at something. Maybe in like one of his letters, he sent a kid. You know how he was doing a lot of those. I feel like it might have been one of those, and then it got adapted into it. I think it's a great start, and I think it's a great ending. I think it just
last line's great.
Okay.
Doctor, I let you go. Incredible.
Oh yeah, it just felt so like it felt so from Pete and so from Moffat. Like Pete, obviously lifelong Doctor Who fan, and Moffat lifelong Doctor Who fan, but also like probably held on to Doctor Who for quite a while, like 6 seasons, 8 years. Like that's a huge thing, and I'm sure there's various reasons as to why he stayed on at times and things like that, but I'm sure it was a huge thing for him to be like, okay, this is me, it's just
I'm
done.
Drop the mic, you know, like, and just it really is the end of a lot of things, a lot of eras, you know. And I isn't this the only episode of New Who on 4K as well?
That's had a physical release, yes. I know. Like,
so why was that and not the rest of?
I reckon they were sort of testing the market with it.
Okay.
Because all of Jodie's Onwards was shot in 4K. I think the 4K release of this is an upscaled 1080. I don't know if either of you two know that.
I think so.
I think it is. I think I heard that.
Yeah, I don't think it was actually shot in 4K. Because I seem to remember at the time of Series 11, I could be wrong, but I think the BBC invested in a lot of new gear for the new era of Who, like anamorphic lens and stuff like that.
That's right, yeah. That's interesting though that they wouldn't even give like the option of like a 4K Blu-ray.
Well, it's just so much more expensive. In Australia, we're lucky to get Blu-rays half the time. Half the movies I want to watch only get DVD releases in Australia.
Yeah, true.
I sound like such a nerd.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I think in the UK, Revolution of the Daleks was a 4K release on iPlayer. I think that's the only one.
On iPlayer. I don't remember them doing it again, but I remember it being a big deal.
Yeah.
at the time. But
And I was we were all just sat, just crying at 1 pixel.
Not anymore.
it's annoying because the visuals in that episode are stunning.
Yeah.
John Smith, the VFX guy, like that one. I mean,
So good.
the TARDIS shot with the Daleks swirling around. I was like, my jaw dropped, and I was watching that on iPlayer. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get into the wrap up. What do we think out of 10 Twice Upon a Time? Josh, you're up.
Oh God.
Yeah, in the deep end.
You know, I had all day to think about this, and I did think I couldn't really think of what I would rate it, and then I just didn't think about it, and now here I am. Maybe a 7.
A 7?
All right.
Respectable.
All right.
Crispy,
hey,
Crispy Pro.
what do you think I'm going to ask you?
Sup?
you're gonna ask me what I would give this out of 10.
He read my mind.
Exactly what we're
Yeah.
asking.
I think I asked credit card details.
Well, wait till the zoom's over. I too, like Josh, had all day to think about this and did not land on a number. I've been tossing up between 6 and 7.
Right.
And I feel like 6.5 is too harsh. So I will give it the benefit of the doubt and also give it a 7. And I
Right.
think officially, Josh, on this show, we have to fist bump if we get the same score.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's not be. That's a premature
We're allowed
fist
to.
bump.
Hey,
That's
we're
premature.
taking over with the other
yeah.
50%.
I refuse.
Alright?
We're the other 50%. All right.
Fuck's sake. Connor,
Yes.
out of 10.
Aiden messaged me today, being
Yes,
like,
this is-
give me your rating, and I was like, spoilers, I'm at work right now. What's going on here? And I'm like, all right,
Okay.
I'll give you the tea.
This was purely because we do our final end of season
it makes
score.
sense because you
and
don't
we
want to be
usually
sat here doing that.
I usually have to calculate
Yeah.
it and we stop recording, and I was like, well, just because we've got guests on, we'll just.
But I got called out the
Redo
blue
it.
at work. Gun to my head.
I'm so
What you
sorry.
giving
I
it?
asked you fucking basic
And I was
questions.
like, oh my god. I'm going to give it a 7. Not even capping. I also gave it a 7. Oh my god.
Wowee.
I don't know what you're giving it though.
I'm nervous.
Well,
No.
that's our show, everybody. No.
Oh, no.
No. I am. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. I did have 7.5 in there. But as we talk about it, I'm going to dip it to a 7 just because the vibes, talking it
Okay.
through, sometimes that changes things.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is going to make my final score that I've pre-calculated maybe like 0.0001% off, but I'm sure we can live.
So we're all going to do the...
Yeah, we're going to do this
everyone together.
weird fist bump. Wow. This is so
Boom.
trendy.
Look at us.
Trendsetters.
Look what we're doing in our lives, you know? We're succeeded, we're winning, you know.
Goats.
Yeah.
All right, very quickly, Connor, as we always have to do here.
Yeah.
Rough guess, what do you think your final series scored? This is, for listeners,
low.
this is a combination of all of our scores from our reviews from The Return of Dr. Mysterio through to Twice Upon a Time, so that's sort of the Series 10 block. This is just a calculation of the scores we've given it, and it's a rough out of 10 score. I say rough, it is from a calculator, so... do you
It's
think
got to
it'll
be
be?
low. I'm gonna say around the 6.5 mark.
Okay, what do you think mine will be?
Probably similar.
Okay.
Similar. I'm gonna say 6.5 as well.
Connor, you gave Mysterio a 6, The Pilot an 8, Smile 4, Thin Ice 7, Knock Knock 7, Oxygen 7.5, Extremis 8.75, Pyramid at the End of the World 7, Live of the Land 6, Empress of Mars a 7.5, Eaters of Light 4, World Enough in Time, The Doctor Falls 9, Twice Upon a Time a 7, with a final series score of 6.8.
Okay.
Wow.
All
Wow.
right. Let me cook.
I gave Mysterio a 6, The Pilot 7.5, Smile 5, Thin Ice 7, Knock Knock 6, Oxygen 7, Extremis 8, Pyramid at the End of the World 7, Light of the Land 6, Empress of Mars 6, Eaters of Light 6, World Enough in Time, The Doctor Falls 9, Twice Upon a Time 7, with a final series score of, roughly at this point, 6.7.
Shit,
Oh
we
my
were so
gosh.
close.
We were very close, and I think the scores reflect it. I think I was a bit more lenient towards the end of the season. You were more lenient at the start of the season, and I was a bit more lenient towards the end of the season.
Okay.
So we kind of like swapped.
I think that's a good representation of how I feel about the season. 'cause
Stacks up.
It's very quite midi.
It just is. It's all sort
Yeah.
of that like 6 to 7 score range for me. Like they're all just consistent, decent episodes, and other than the finale, none of them really reach for the highs.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's it with Pete. Time to move on to Jodie Whittaker with Chris Chibnall's
Can't believe
era.
you've made it here.
I
That
know,
is
it's
crazy.
actually
That's
pretty
mad.
It's actually pretty nuts. We reviewed 10 seasons.
What are we doing with our lives?
Don't know. We've only got 2 seasons left.
And then we're lost.
So,
We'll be so
yeah,
lost.
that is wild. So
Yeah, this is episode 158 for us today. So
that is crazy.
what a
actually.
landmark episode. Cool.
Yeah. Sad, but you know, it's nice to move onwards and upwards.
It is. Josh, Crispy, thank you both very much for joining us again.
Our wonderful guest.
Would you like to plug yourselves at all? Anywhere to find you? I'm sure they probably already know, but hey.
Absolutely. Josh has a new short film out called Might of the Daleks. Please go and check it out.
Link in
It is
description, everybody.
essential
Link in description.
viewing. It is essential viewing.
Essential.
And, link in the description. Thank you so much.
Fake fan, if you haven't watched.
If you aren't listening to Crispy's podcast, it's a really good Australian Doctor Who podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, better than some.
Probably the nicest Australian podcast.
What's going on?
With Australia's nicest Doctor Who YouTuber.
What is going on here? Oh my god. Okay.
Well, that was fun. Time to go. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 50Doctor, and
Hell yeah.
make sure you subscribe because we'd love 1,000 subscribers some point soon. We're
It
pretty
gives
close.
us validation and substance.
My mom will be happy.
Yeah.
It's
Aiden's
and Connor's podcast. We're
The
doing
biggest
Doctor
crossover event in
Who
YouTube
reviews
history.
with Josh and Crispy.
Crispy too. Hey,
Where's
give
the
Missy
fucking
dab.
color grade?
Yeah, let's get some color grade up in this bitch. That's the one. Shirt near you soon.